So, just a couple of announcements before we get this party started. We have Oktoberfest fast approaching. Be on the lookout for a sign-up genius. Buy tickets, $25 a plate. Buy tickets. And how can you buy them? You can Venmo us. You can...
It'll be on the website soon.
And it'll be on the website soon.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Then, September 20th, Tuesday afternoon, the Mattakit tour, 5:30. Buy your own tickets. Bring your own money for booze. Show up.
We'll see you there. It'll be fun. It's going to be beautiful and fun.
And it's Ian's birthday.
Oh!
Duh. Hope you like Trimble. Let's see. I believe there is a meeting for Taste of the Holidays at Plaza Grill, 6 p.m. Wednesday. The date changed. Yes.
Wednesday.
Okay. Yeah. Wednesday, 6 p.m.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. And any other announcements, really quick, before we turn it over to the people in charge? Her name is Carol.
Carol, I don't know. Well, anyway, good morning, everybody. Glad you found it out here. I think we're really pleased that Nordic Aquafarms opened their doors, and we have two people here that are going to kind of tell us how it's going to go. I think we'll have a little bit of a talk here. We have Scott Thompson, who is a project manager. Is that correct? And Stacy
Atkins-Salazar. I'm the community liaison.
Okay, community liaison. Thanks, Stacy. So I think they're going to have a little talk up here. So maybe we should put the coffee around the corner or in the back, maybe. And then they're going to give a little brief talk, and then I think we get a chance to walk around. So I think I'm just going to turn it over. And some people will have to leave right away at 8, but I understand it might linger if there's a few more questions and people have time. But we'll let everybody get out of here by 8. Okay. So I'll turn it on over.
I have a quick announcement. The gentleman outside said some of the cars are blocking the entrance on this side, so if people could move those cars, that would be helpful. Or from this end of the building down, I guess, there's bay doors that are blocking.
Oh, I thought you could park there. Sorry.
No, I don't. Well, we share this space with so many folks, so I'm not alone. I'll go check it out.
All right, well, good morning, everybody. Thanks for coming. Glad you found the place. It's a little hard to describe. Can't just give somebody a street address. So I'm just going to assume most of you have heard of the project in a general sense and not dive into anything too deep. I want to leave time to walk around, answer questions that you guys have, and kind of cater it to what you would love to know about. But I always want to start here. Why does this project make sense? And this is showing the global trade of farmed salmon. So in North America, we have a huge deficit. It's about 500,000 metric tons a year that's imported to this country. Most of that's coming from Latin America, Chile, and from the Faroe Islands, Norway. So thousands of miles away. So we propose to produce it where it's consumed. So this is what's going on in consumption fisheries. So demand has been increasing over time. But around the mid-90s, we pretty much hit the limit of how much can be taken out of the ocean sustainably. So demand for seafood keeps increasing, but no more can come out of the ocean. So aquaculture is what can fill that gap and supply the demand in a sustainable way. So RCAS, what is RCAS? It's recirculating aquaculture systems. That's the core of our business. That's how we do the farming that we do. All these different species are currently being farmed in RCAS. We've proposed for Atlantic salmon at this facility, but we also do yellowtail kingfish in our other facilities. So this is where we are. We're over by the water tower that you can see. Everything except for the building with solar panels will be torn down. And then there's a rendering on the other side of what we'll build. So there's over 600,000 square feet of solar installation on the roof. But still, that's a small fraction of the power that we're going to need. Water is always something that comes up consistently. People are really worried that we're going to drain the bay or suck all the fish out of the bay or take all the bird food, which are valid concerns. You know, I didn't know this about Humboldt Bay before getting into this project. But what you're looking at is below the blue line is how much water is always in the bay, and then above the blue line is average what comes in and out of the bay with each tidal cycle. So twice a day, the tide comes in and out, and that's about how much water comes in and out. So you're looking at almost 50 billion gallons of water that come in and out of the bay a day, and we would like to use 10 million of that. So we'd like 1/5000th of the water that comes into the bay every day. So that kind of puts it in context. I mean, 10 million gallons sounds like a lot, but as compared to 50 billion, it's negligible amount almost. But we are mitigating for any loss of biological productivity that would come from us sucking in that water. So where are we now? We've been working on this project for 3 years. We got 1 permit so far, and our CEQA certified by the planning board, but both those are currently under appeal. So we're going to be going in front of the Board of Supervisors later this month. But down below are some of the other permits we need. Let's call these major permits. And then we have our partners, the Harbor District, and they have their own permits that they need to obtain. So they've applied for all of them, but it's a very slow, unpredictable process, and most of the regulators want to wait until your CEQA is certified, and then they piggyback off of the CEQA document instead of doing their own analysis for everything. So that's some of their permits. And then these are some of the follow-on permits that we'll need to get that are a little more straightforward. There's codes that apply here, so it's less political. If you meet the codes, then everything's fine. But with the CEQA process, it's more political, less straightforward type of process. But our Board of Supervisors appeal, I think Stacy was going to say a little bit.
Yeah, I did want to. So thanks you guys for coming. I'm Stacy, Community Liaison. So what my job is, I'm a local, born and raised here. Also, if you didn't know, just wearing a different hat, I'm also the mayor of Arcata, and I own a small business as well. So you know how we do things here in Humboldt. You got to do a lot to get by. And so anyways, we do have, over the past few years, there have been a lot of people that have become supporters of the project and do want to see it go through. There are people that have concerns. There are people that just absolutely oppose it. But for the most part, it seems that the community really is supportive and wanting it to go through. So if you are at all interested, there will be people speaking on behalf of the project and also against it at that appeal process. So there was a good turnout at the Planning Commission, and I'm sure if you've been part of that process, usually the folks that are against something come out in droves, and those who support it don't necessarily show up, and it can kind of give you a skewed picture. We were really fortunate. Yes.
Just real quick, one way you can kind of be there but not be there, and it can make a difference, is even if you just send an email to the Board of Supervisors, and there's access points you can do it, even just to say, I want to comment on the project, and if you want to be in favor of it but not be in favor of something kind of bad happening, say, I'm in favor of this project as mitigated to address environmental, the EIR. So I think it does help to get an email in, and you could say you're one more piece of sand on the pile, but it takes a lot of pieces of sand to build a pile. So I've commented all the way through and just kind of been supportive, with things that's mitigated. And I think that's a good thing to do if you're a community member and you think it's good for tax base, for jobs, for everything else it provides for our county. So you can actually be an advocate that way without having to drive clear there and stand through long meetings.
Yep, because they are long. And you can also call it too, so it's 2 ways. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave a stack of handouts about the project and also my business cards on the back table so that you guys can grab them. And if you do want to participate in any of those ways through the meeting, you can actually just email me, and I have a standard email I can send to you with kind of the cheat notes on how to do that. So yeah, anyone that's wanting to support.
Are you still doing your weekly meetings?
So the Zoom meetings, so we were doing open Zoom meetings online, and they were every week for the past couple years. We've dropped down to twice a month, and we're probably going to be honestly tapering them out. We don't really have folks showing up, so typically there's 5 Nordic team members on that call and 1 or 2 folks that come, which that's fine. We're happy to do that, but it's just, I actually do advertising and everything, and that's who we get showing up. So in the beginning, there was a lot more people that were coming, but as the projects become more familiar, people don't show up as much, they just don't have as many questions. But
And it's a great forum to have literally a one-on-one,
Mhm.
you can ask all your questions. I've participated in several of them.
thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're doing those right now the 2nd and 4th Wednesdays of the month. But again, if you take my card and you have my contact information, you can just email me and I'm happy to give you that info too. The cool thing about Nordic is they're really, I'm an independent contractor, so I'm not an employee. Scott's an employee, and there's a whole other team in Maine. So we're the 2 folks out here, this is it. But we have a lot of support in Maine. And so they're really willing to meet with whomever, whenever, and answer questions, talk about things. So if, we can't answer questions or get you the information that you need, we can also connect you to someone else who can. And that's, I think that's why, a big part of the reason that the community has really, for the most part, welcomed Nordic in is because from day one, they really made an effort to just be part of the community and to listen to the community. There's been a lot of changes made to the project because of community input. And so they've just really shown a willingness to listen, and as we know, that's important to us here. We're special, and we want people to know that and hear our concerns. So it's been a good experience for myself, helping to represent them, and Scott. So a big fan of the company too. So.
Well, the biggest struggle we've had is, you say, fish farming, and people's brain goes to a bad place, which is absolutely valid. It's just our company, was created to solve a lot of those issues that exist with the conventional fish farming. So it does take an educational process and patience and just taking time to hear people and say, that's not us. We aren't putting anything out in the water. We use a very large amount of electricity, but that's all because of the state-of-the-art water treatment equipment we have. We go above and beyond to the limit of the technology of what's available instead of what's permittable. So like, for instance, ammonia is toxic to fish, but they produce it. You can permit up to 0.8 milligrams a liter, but we applied for 0.004 milligrams per liter because we know we can achieve that with the water treatment technology we have. So we're not going to, what you can get a permit for, we're going to, the best we can do. So that's a lot of electricity, but we're committed to 100% renewable energy, so yeah, we can feel good about that. And hopefully we only need 2 of the wind turbines. If they just put 2 out there, we'll be good, so. Looking forward to that. Well, I figured we could just take a few minutes for questions in here, and then we can walk around. It's a little harder to hear when we're walking around.
Well, Nordic's already been through a very, very similar process in the state of Maine. And it's been a couple-year process, and they've gone through a lot of the appeals, and folks that don't like them, and they've really survived all the appeals, and they're right at the point of, construction. And, the lobstermen, of course, are the big concern there, because they're going to take water out of the thing. And so they're a real strong lobby, and they basically have the scientific community on the side, they have the university on their side, they have the regulators on their side, and the government officials on their side. So, kind of the weight of doing what they consider to be the right thing and as sound environmentally as you can do anything these days. So you can get on the Nordic website, and if you do, you'll get emails periodically updating you on what's going on. Like we've got our last permit, we're starting construction. They got a little tidelands thing going that's just being resolved right now. So you can actually see, they're 2 years ahead of this one and just starting to build. Or not yet, but they will be starting to build.
Yeah, unfortunately in Maine, some of the nearby neighbors are retired lawyers. And the courts got really slow. Yeah. No, they just needed something to do. They didn't like the project. And the courts got really slow with COVID. So that's really just been tying up Maine for a couple of years now. And everything's been decided in our favor, but then it gets appealed, and then you just have to wait and wait and wait. And all the decisions are strongly in our favor, but they're trying to run us down, and we're in it for the long haul, so they're just wasting time and money, but, that's their prerogative.
And there will have to be some staggering of the project, so that'll be, when construction happens, because, there'll be 2 big projects happening on either coast. So that'll be part of it too, being strategic with layering things. So.
Yeah, and thankfully, or not thankfully, we have all this mill infrastructure, so we have, at least 6 to 9 months of demolition here. And then we're on a sand spit, so we need to do ground improvement to be able to support our building. So that's another 6 to 9 months. So we do have some activities here that Maine doesn't have, but Maine does, like they don't have an outfall pipe where we do have an outfall pipe. So there's some balance where both projects are going to take a long time to get done, but we're committed to the long haul. So.
Do you have a projection on when you're completely done? Are we talking 10 years? Are we talking 2 years? Like, do you have an idea?
It's hard to say, but the project is phased. And we put fish in the water slowly, like every week, so that eventually we're harvesting fish every week, you know, so it's a continual process. And the fish spend 2 years in the tanks before they're reached that size where they're harvestable. So with the phased construction and everything, I think we're projecting that it might be 2030 before we reach like full biomass in the systems. So it does ramp up slowly, you know, some people think we're going to turn it on and all of a sudden, you know, everything will be going full steam, but it, you know, you build up the biomass over time slowly. It gives you time to work out any kinks in the system as you're commissioning it, getting fish in the water.
What's the decision that you're appealing with the Board of Supervisors?
We're not appealing the decision.
Oh, okay.
The planning board decision is being appealed to the Board of Supervisors.
Okay.
So 3 groups have appealed their decision and gone against the project, but with how many environmental groups are up here, we almost consider that a win that it's only 3 that have a problem with what we're doing. So, you know, appeals are expected, and being the project manager and just, you know, it's my baby, so it's hard not to take it personally, but it's par for the course.
And Nordic has spent a lot of time, like the reason there are only 3 groups with, you know, with some issues, with only 9 pages of issues, is because of all the hours spent with all the other groups and work, you know, and literally making changes and improvements to the projects through those negotiations. So, you know, they've done a lot of good work with the groups. It's been a lot of collaboration.
Do you have a question?
No.
Oh.
What's like the job growth outlook for this facility here? There's like an estimated number of jobs.
Mm-hmm. So it would be 150 full-time positions approximately. And those are at a lot of different education levels. Nordic really likes to retain their people and build on their knowledge. My first employee evaluation, you know, they asked me what I wanted to do after the facility's built, and I'm like, what? Like, I can't even get past permits right now. But that's the way that they're thinking. So I really appreciate that. And, you know, it really helps your business if people grow from the inside and understand every part of the business. So that's the goal. And then construction, probably around 300, but it will ramp up and down depending on the different activities. But as a construction worker, it's rare that you get to work on the same site for years on end. So it will be a good gig for them as well.
Is CR doing anything in collaboration with them?
Yep, so we've helped them. They're bringing back their aquaculture program. They had one historically, but it's gone away, but they're bringing it back. But we've been working with them to design a teaching classroom, wet lab out here. So the water intakes that are being permitted by the Harbor District, we're going to use the lion's share of the water, about 80%, but there's still 2.8 million gallons a day that are available for other users. So there's a guy out here who produces sea salt. He'd probably be another one of those users. There's Taylor Seafood who might do some upland stuff with salt water. But CR is looking at siting a wet lab out here. And then, yeah, Cowboy Humboldt is a little farther behind. But the Harbor District is looking for some funding to build the building that they could lease to CR and have all the teaching stuff. And I think they're designing it. You know, we helped with the design, but it's to do shellfish, fin fish, tumble culture, seaweed, so to have a lot of different types of aquaculture within that facility.
And I'm sure you're all aware we have a little bit of a workforce shortage. And so Nordic has been working like already with the Humboldt County Office of Education, College of the Redwoods, Cal Poly, to try to start to generate, you know, interest in aquaculture, like going back not only high school but into elementary school. So working like how to tie in just to spark that interest, not just necessarily to bring people here to this site, but it is a worldwide industry. And so there are lots of opportunities for, you know, for young people that are interested in travel and maybe getting out and exploring things. So just a lot of collaboration with those educational institutions to try to plant those seeds now so that there's interest when jobs are available.
Yeah, and I mean, I went to HSU and I graduated from there, and there was no work for me here, so I left and went away, and this is the job that brought me back. So, you know, that's part of it is, yeah, it'd be really nice if there were jobs for people who wanted to live here. And that's what we're looking for, is hiring people that are already here and want to live here and love this place. So.
You mentioned the bay water use. Is there also freshwater use from the pipes that come across?
There
the
is,
peninsula?
absolutely. So the pulp mills, when they were operating, they used 60 million gallons a day of fresh water, and that's what the Ruth Lake system was designed to supply, even in drought years. We would like 2 million gallons a day. So salmonids are obligated to live in freshwater at the beginning parts of their life. Like in the wild, they go up into the rivers, lay their eggs, but then they smolt into saltwater when they get a little bigger, and we'll do the same here. You can keep them in freshwater the entire time, but since that's a limited resource, we try to maximize the use of our saltwater and minimize, well, we're minimizing the use of all of our water by recirculating it so many times, but we try to get them in saltwater as soon as we can.
Well, since you're on the topic of freshwater, one thing I didn't see in the EIR I was kind of looking for, is probably buried in there someplace, but to me it seems like there should be a positive effect from this project using the freshwater, because one thing about the rainy wells in the Mad River and the 6 million gallons that the pulp mills are using every day is that use went down. Now, a little bit's been replaced in the years since the pulp mills went down, but when you take that much income out of the water district, had a big effect. Well, it seemed like when you put that much income back into the water district, it should have a beneficial effect. And I'm not sure that Nordic got that in their EIR, that say, wait a minute, we're going to, either the water district can they're not going to lower rates, because that's not going to happen, but they might be able to hold off raising rates, and they might also be able to have money for some of their infrastructure, plus they can also secure a bigger portion of that water right, because if you don't use it, you lose it, so after a point. So they have the 6 million gallons plus whatever the
60.
Yeah, anyway, you know, it would seem like there's a positive effect that the company could take credit for. Not that they mean it's just part of their thing, but it is a side effect.
It's a bit of a challenge. So the infrastructure does exist to get the water out here, but it's also got deferred maintenance. So we'll be working with them probably to pre-fund some of that, and then they'll be paying back that through rate structure and whatnot. But yeah, we talked to them, and you know, they're very anxious to get a big customer. They, you know, when we asked for 2, they said, "Are you sure you don't want more?" But they couldn't guarantee us that rates would go down for anybody or anything like that. So it was kind of just, yeah, better not to go there. But having a big customer in their system again certainly helps with everything. And yeah, so what they've done with the water, I believe, is that 20 million of that 60 million, they're designating for fish, so just in-stream flows for fish, and then they're trying to work with that other 40 million and find more users for that water, because it's 29 or 8, somewhere around there, the water board takes that up again, and we could lose those water rights, and they've already designed diversion tunnels to take it into a different watershed and get it to the Central Valley. So I think we're mid-hour, so you guys want to go walk out and point at stuff?
Thank you.
What if one breaks and you get a freshwater leak in